Your boy got that PS5, baby. Ooh. What is going on, my peeps? Your man Versatile's back with another video. Back here to talk about this beautiful here PS5 disc edition, baby. Yes, your man's finally got it. I finally got it. Put that over there because that's one big box. Oh, it's been a long time coming getting a PS5. 13 and a half months to be exact. Woo. And we got it. We got it in house. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is HDCP. Oh, I don't like HDCP. I couldn't even get the screen or the PS5 to display on my TV at first. I had to boot it into safe mode and cut down the HDCP settings from automatic to 1.4 just so I could get a display out of it. And then I went straight into settings and turned it off. Now I turn it on and off depending on what I'm doing on my PS5, but one of the things you will be mindful of depending on your TV, because I believe my TV is HDMI 2.0, not 2.1. So that may have been why I ran into an HDCP setting problem like right off the bat. But my TV is relatively new. I think I have a 2019, 2020 Samsung TV, but it's kind of like a nice budget 4K TV with HDR, and so I can still rock all that kind of stuff. It's not really doing much for me in terms of hooking up the PS5 at first, but it's all hooked up now. We have no problems. It's running, we playing. So let's get into some of the other things that I like and like one or two dislikes that I have after a week of using this. And since it's been out for a year, how has it been now that I didn't have to really go through those, you know, early bird struggles with the PS5. We're gonna get into that right now, but before we do, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys ignite the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so that way you never miss my videos. Then we can sit back, chillax, and see what's cracking. And let me know down in the comment section below, do you have a PS5? Are you on your way to getting a PS5? Are you looking forward to playing PS5 maybe early next year? You know, February is about to be a heavy hitter for a bunch of PS5 games like Horizon Forbidden West and Seafood, just to name a couple. Let me know down in the comment section below. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, one of the first things I actually want to talk to you guys about is the size and the heft of the PS5. Yes, it is considerably bigger and more substantiated by its weight. It's like this huge. That's why you saw me bring the box in here, which also has quite a bit of heft to it, and not the PS5 itself, because I'm not about to be trying to move that around like that. Like, the PlayStation 4 Pro is a lot easier to move around. This sucker's a little heavier, and once I have it in its place, I just want to leave it there. I am docking mine vertically, so it is standing up next to my TV. I love where I have it. Of course, I wish I had like an entertainment system where I could have it at the bottom, but again, you would need a lot of space for it to live down there, and it being out in the open also helps with the cooling and the thermals of it, because this, you know, it's packing a lot of power. So for me, thankfully, because I can have it out, it's typically kind of cooler in our apartment anyway, so I don't even have to worry about thermals from that perspective. The only time I hear the PS5 make any noise really is if I'm running a disc and it's downloading data from the disc. Outside of that, she is quiet as a mouse. You don't hear her at all, and I like that about her. And she's so quiet. The PS5 is quiet as a mouse, no disturbance in the house. Bars. Yes, the PS5 is a presence in the living room. It looks like a piece of furniture next to the TV. That's how funny it kind of looks. But in terms of what it looks like, the sound, aliens, you know what I'm saying? Like the PS5, I'm still on my PS5 high, as you guys can tell. Just know that it's solid nonetheless. I like the PS5 right now. I'm loving the PS5 because I'm playing new games. You know, I beat Guardians on PS5. You guys will see the review dropping for that soon. The reason why you won't see the review dropping quite yet, though, is because I still haven't found a way to get the data off of the PS5. Currently, I'm playing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Amazing. I didn't think I was going to be as into it because I'm not a big Ratchet fan like my brother is. But once I started playing, oh boy. Oh yeah. It's too good. It's too good. Like, oh, that the visuals are stunning. And that's what we're gonna walk right into next is gaming on it, right? The gaming is completely different. Load times are near nothing, takes seconds. It doesn't take nowhere near a minute, like 30, 34 seconds, maybe 40 seconds at the most for any type of game. But most games, at least the games I play, like Guardians, Avengers, Ghost, I popped in just to download, get my data all situated there, which is gonna be the next issue we probably talk about. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Jedi Fallen Order. Anytime I put a game in there to load up, even Horizon probably took the longest. That's because it's a PS4 game and it's not a PS5. There's no PS5 version of it. Even then, that still was like 34 seconds, 34 to 40 seconds. So in terms of data being data load times, nothing. You notice the 4K looks more crisp. You notice the gameplay feels more fluid, more stability when it comes to FPS or frames per second. The frames per second, clean. Even if they dip a little bit, it's nothing drastic. It's not something that you're gonna immediately notice. You know, I was watching Digital Foundry on a lot of different games, a lot of their studying and research on and testing out different games. And if it's running 30 frames per second, most of the time, like 99% of the time, it's locked in at 30 frames per second. And that's usually with 4K mode or quality mode. Now, you'll see a dip to maybe 27, 28 frames per second, but it's nothing drastic enough to destroy your system. I think the only game that might do that with is Mass Effect. The Mass Effect Legendary Edition, there's a cutscene where it drops like 23 frames per second, but then it picks back up. I almost feel like that's purposeful to the story for that cutscene moment, but that could just be me. In terms of performance mode, whenever you play games in performance mode, 99% of the time it's locked in at 60 frames per second, so that's amazing. And some games like Death Stranding and I believe even Ghost, their quality mode is still 4K 60. It's just that 60 frames per second may not be as consistent. So it'll drop to 55, 56 frames per second. But again, near not as noticeable of a difference at all. I mean, even I would say even like 50 frames to 60 frames, you're really not gonna notice that much of a difference in terms of lag or frame dropping, because it's really similar. So you won't even have a problem with that. And it's like moments, it's not something all the time. So that's one of the things that's great about the stability of these SSDs. In the words of Gamer 2023, the SSD, blazing fast, handles the load times, it handles being able to run these games. And this is just the first year of PlayStation 5, and a lot of games I'm talking about just got PS5 updates or a revitalized PS5 version. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is the only like true PS5 game that I've actually played, because I played Guardians on PS4 and then finished it on PS5. And then every other game that I have has been PS4 to PS5. So the first game I played PS5 solo is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and you notice it a lot in that game there. That has 4K 30, 14, and then there's ray tracing mode as well, right? They have performance, RT, or just RT. Guardians had 3 modes, had quality, performance, and ray tracing mode. And basically ray tracing mode, I believe, just added ray tracing to their 4K mode, or it was 1440p I think, but it's scaled in between like 1080p and 1440p. So basically, as long as you have a 1080p TV, you're gonna be completely fine with the PlayStation, and anything is just gonna upscale the quality, so you're gonna get that much more sharp, crisp clarity in your images. And when you choose the different modes, it really just is up to you. Like a lot of people who like to play like first person shooters, maybe even third person shooters, prefer performance mode or 60 frames per second. But I do like the fact that Ghost and Death Stranding allow 4K 60 and not just 4K 30. Now their performance mode has a more tight, near flawless 60 frames per second for performance mode. But I do like the fact that you can still utilize 4K 60 with those games on the PS5 for the PS5 version. So in the infancy of the PS5, we're still getting great games, great quality. And imagine 3-4 years in where they start tapping into more of the power of the PS5 and what we're going to be able to get in terms of games. That's why Horizon is going to be interesting. God of War is going to be interesting, right? And that's going to be a solo PS5, I believe, which means that there could be some power within. We could get 4K 60 with that. You know what I mean? So it's exciting to be able to game on PS5. Now, one of the things that you're gonna actually notice in terms of the difference between PS4 and PS5, last gen to now next gen or current gen, is the home screen or cross media bar, or XMB for short, or if they even have a new name for it, I don't know. It's completely different. It's way more fluid, more intuitive, more seamless. Like the PlayStation Store is built into the home screen where you just go over there and just start playing around in the PlayStation Store with no problems. And a lot of times there's little small shortcuts that we don't ever know about. And when you scroll over to the left on your XMB to the PlayStation Store, and you go down, if you press triangle, it'll hit you right to that little top piece where you can hit, I think, search for games and all that type of stuff, stuff in the game. And also on the cross media bar, when you're scrolling across your games, what you got going on your PlayStation, if you press triangle, it'll immediately take you up to the top where you can hit like settings and your profile and stuff like that. So you can get around pretty quickly with the PS5's new software that we have going on there. Very, very amazing at how they were able to build in that PlayStation Store. And it's almost like it's not even anything. Like a PS4 Pro was cool because it was like all the way on the left basically too, but it was kind of like an app, whereas this case it's like it's just part of the system. And the fact that you can just kind of multitask to a very small degree, with like games, for instance. Like games have the switcher mode where it will kind of sort of try to keep two games running, basically a game in suspension, or like I think up to 3 games, but like really what it is it's kind of suspended, and it'll just boot it. It might boot it up a little bit faster than just from close to open, but it definitely is noticeable, especially if you can keep like an activity card active for one of the games that you have in the background. It'll keep the game in a more better suspended mode where it'll skip all the intros and pretty much take you right to the start screen or where you last had it paused. So that's something that we're gonna also see down the road get better with the PS5, is the switcher or game suspension with the PS5. We know Xbox has a better system from that perspective, being able to keep 2 to 5 games logged in its memory or its cache, where you can switch between games like with no problem. So that's definitely gonna be interesting there. To me, that would come in very handy when I get my hands on an NBA 2K and or Madden, and I can switch between those when I'm tired of playing one, and I can switch to the other and play the other one and switch back. And Marvel's Avengers, just kind of switch back between the 2 or 3. So it's gonna be very, very interesting to see what Sony does with that switcher function with the PS5, because right now it's in its very baby infancy, where you can just kind of call back to a game, but it's not really gonna launch back to where you were. So keep that in mind, but it is still a neat feature that has a lot of future improvements that we're looking forward to. One of the things that I don't like is the Ps4 Ps5 Game Duplication. What I mean by that is when you pop in your PS4 disc into PS5, if there's a PS5 version, you can update to it via the software. You'll have to keep your PS4 disc to play the PS5 version. So it sounds a little confusing there, but basically once you download the PS4 version, you can upgrade to the PS5 version. You have to keep the disc that you have though. Keep the disc, and it basically evolves it into PS5 version. So keep that disc. Just because you updated the PS5 doesn't mean it's gonna play via software. No, it still needs the disc to run. But what I don't like about that is that the PS4 version still pops up on the cross media bar. That is annoying. Now it automatically selects the PS5 version because that's what it's improved to or evolved to, but you can still scroll over and download the PS4 version if you wanted to. To me, I wish you had the option to turn that off because it's annoying. Like it happens with Avengers. Every time I have Avengers in there, it pops up the PS4 version and the PS5, and I would love for the PS4 version not to pop up anymore. That's one of the things that is very, very annoying about the duplication system in terms of games between last gen and now current gen. That's hopefully something that PlayStation can also look into to kind of fix for us, so that way we can keep our cross media bar organized. And side note, I would like to actually populate my games that I want on my cross media bar. There's some items on there that I don't need on there. I don't mind Explorer being on there, but if I wanted the option to get rid of it, I would love to get rid of it. There's a couple options towards the end near the game library that I would love to get rid of and just have all my games lined up, or actually create folders for my games. I can't remember if that folder functionality came later in the PS4's lifespan, and which means like with the PS5 it's probably going to come maybe this year, where we get a little bit more customization in terms of handling and optimizing or customizing our cross media bar. Maybe wallpapers, and especially dynamic or live wallpapers, because as we know with the PS5, and that's one thing also, a side note, double side note, I don't like the fact that you can't screen record the home screen. You can screen record any game you want to, but you can't screen record your own screen of what you're doing on the only way you can do that is via a capture card, and you probably got your your PS5 hooked up to like a monitor or something like that, where you can actually record that way. But with the record functionality built into the PS5, it will not allow you to screen grab, I don't think, or screen record the cross media bar, your home screen. Annoying. But in terms of what I was saying before, which I kind of forgot, it's going to be interesting to see how PlayStation handles that. Oh, the wallpapers and stuff like that. You know, they play pretty decent music. They put up a big old picture, which is really nice, you know, of the game that you're about to play. But it's going to be interesting to see what kind of dynamic wallpapers and stuff that we get, because I mean, there's nowhere that you can't place your little marker on the PS5 and it doesn't display something from there. So it's gonna be kind of hard from that perspective on as to how you're gonna get a wallpaper that would really fit that kind of situation. So again, something we're gonna be looking forward to in the future, but absent as of right now. But we're looking forward to now, year 2, what we're gonna get out of the PS5 now that it's January 2022. And I about butchered the whole month's name. Speaking of capture controls, let's talk about the settings. The settings on the PS5 feels a lot more simple than it did on the PS4. Just a little, no, I would say a little bit more than a little bit. Not like crazy difference, but also not like, you know, non-noticeable. It does feel a little bit more easy to find the settings that you're looking for on the PS5. The capture controls are pretty easy too, because they've changed them to where like you can just click the capture button and take a screenshot or record, or if you press it, or if you press and hold it, it'll take a screenshot, or you can double tap and it'll automatically capture gameplay that you did within the last hour. So that's a little weird to me, because I didn't know that at first, and maybe I can change that, because I would like to just double tap to start recording, but maybe it wears out the button, I don't know. But, and that's on the controller, of course. But if you just want to screen record how long you want to, tap it and then just click, you know, start record, or start recording. But if you double tap it, it'll automatically grab like the last hour's worth of gameplay or something like that. So it's very weird and kind of comes in handy at the same time if you didn't know you wanted to capture gameplay, so you just decided to, like, right then and there. And I guess it also kind of shows you how much the PS5 is able to keep in its memory. Like, it's kind of slowly, or it's kind of sort of recording stuff you've already done, and then I guess like after a certain period of time it's gonna let it go. And I guess built into the system is, because you have up to an hour that you can record. Maybe it just knows, because you have that setting toggle on, that it's just gonna record every last hour from you playing, and then it erases itself out of its memory after so long. So that's kind of like an interesting feature of the PS5, is that it can capture your past gameplay that you were just doing. So that's pretty interesting in terms of those controls. In terms of settings, what else? Quick settings. By pressing the PlayStation button, whoop, then you have quick settings that pops up, and you can track trophies. These are your card activities if you want, or activity cards. You can you know, have your broadband, or not broadband, but your internet right there. See how your network's going. You can turn your controllers off, or whatever accessories you have connected. You can play with those when you're broadcasting. You have broadcasting settings that pops up there now. You can you know, this is where you can put the PlayStation in, you know, rest mode, or turn it off if you needed to. Quick settings is different. I honestly like quick settings. I just wish we kind of kept the habits that we built for the PS4, which was pressing the PlayStation button went to home screen, And then what they could have did with the activity cards was press and hold power button to bring that up. But now it's the opposite way, in that you press the PS button and the activity cards pop up, and you press and hold to go back to your home screen or to leave the game. That can get very kind of mixed up in the fold there, especially when you're looking to just power down the PS5 and you sitting there like pressing and holding, because that's usually how you do it. And now you just have to remember to press it, scroll over to the power button, and then do what you're trying to do. So it is creating new habits that you have to do with the PS5, and it's with one of the most core basic functions, which is accessing the power button through the software on the PS5. Not mad at it, because I do like some of the things that they have there. One of the things that I do like doing recently is actually tracking trophies with like Ratchet, and I think there was one other game, I think Guardians. I'm glad that they do have more of the games actually taking advantage of this function, because sometimes you don't know your progress trying to get a specific trophy. And so with Ratchet, one of the examples of a trophy I'm tracking right now is like trying to hit all the BlizzCon or BlizzOn crystals. They're like these purple crystals that warp between dimensions. Well, this planet has like 29 of them. Well, between this planet and another planet, there's 29. I've gotten 16 out of the 29 so far, which means the other 13 must be on another planet, which I haven't went to yet. But I know that because I can track the trophy and check it. The other neat feature is you can pin the cards next to your gameplay. So while you're playing, you can actually check out whatever you're tracking, and when you access or obtain some more progress, you'll see your progress adjust in the trophy in that tracking card. So I really like that aspect, and especially if you're a PS Plus member, you can access like game hints and like YouTube, I guess it's YouTube videos, or people who've uploaded videos to PlayStation. I don't know how that exactly works, but they found smart ways to use people's gaming videos, how to find this and the third, to access or find specific trophies. Now, I haven't quite taken advantage of that yet, but I've kind of clicked on and noticed it just to see how it would roll. And it's a unique feature, and I think that everybody low-key uses it a little bit that has PS5. Maybe they didn't grow accustomed to using it, and I don't even know if I will grow accustomed to using it. Only if I have a game that I'm actually legitimately probably trying to platinum will I use that feature. Now with Ratchet, I'm not necessarily trying to platinum, but I am doing my due diligence to get as many trophies as I can, because I actually find myself having fun learning about the new Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart with Rivet, Ratchet, Kit, Clank. It's been an interesting game. I thought I was just gonna run through it real quick, but no, I decided to sit back and do a little bit more. I'm not doing as much exploration as I used to. If I see something, I'll try to get it, and then I'll keep it pushing. Like this one planet I would love to go back to, so that way I can get this gold boat, because I know where it's at. I already got my trophy for the boats, but I want this boat. How did I know I got the boats? Tracking the trophies. So quick settings, which is where you're gonna find your switcher setting as well to switch between games. Very, very interesting feature that Sony decided to bring apart the PS5, and I'm interested to see how that grows alongside the PS5 in the coming years, coming updates for it. So I definitely want to say check that feature out if you guys haven't already. Now, you guys know I broadcast from my PlayStation to my YouTube channel, Versatile Plays, so that way you guys can see my gameplay. We can hang out. That's what I wanted to do with my gaming. It's a gaming channel. So Sony has drastically improved their broadcasting capabilities and features for the PS5, and because I have the HD camera now, that also helps with being able to broadcast you guys even more, fun gameplay videos. You can control the audio of the broadcast itself. The mute button on the controller allows you to mute without having to use your headset, so that's awesome. Be careful of your settings, because you might toggle an audio setting on by accident that mutes everything, which is what I did, muted the broadcast. And thankfully with quick settings, you can control the broadcast audio, your camera settings, another option, or to end the broadcast. You can pause the broadcast, and even when you leave from the game back to the home screen of the PlayStation, it won't cut the game. What it will do is still stream your audio without the visuals. I like that a lot. That makes a lot of sense to me, and it lets the audience know that you're still there. For them, they'll get a blue screen with a pause symbol right there in the middle, letting them know that everything's still going on. Just be patient and wait. So I do like that they allow that. Because I have the HD camera, the PlayStation's HD camera on top of that, you can control the placement of your face cam. You can control different effects on it. You control brightness, transparency, contrast, all that fun stuff. And you get about 6 to 8 locations that you could place it around the screen. I wish it was freeform, like freeform, where you could just kind of control where you want to put it alongside the edge. But I like the controls that we have for the broadcasting on the PlayStation, because it makes it easier for me and other gamers to use the PlayStation to bring you guys good, fun, quality gaming content. Now, before we get to this baby right here, before we get to this cosmic red baby right here, the controller I picked as part of my unnecessary expensive bundle for the PlayStation. Yes, we're going to talk about the most hated feature of the PlayStation I think most people don't like, and that is the game save data transfer function, or lack thereof. On Xbox with the Series X and Series S, they have smart delivery, where it smartly or wisely automatically chooses your last gen save file, uploads it, and uses it for your next gen game. Sony's like, we're gonna make this absolutely hard for you because we like you. And what happens is you go through this unnecessarily long, excruciating, convoluted process of downloading the PS4 game, starting the game, uploading your save file to that developer's cloud, then installing the PS5 game, then starting the game, and then importing or downloading the save data file that you just got through doing with your PS4 game. And then you can finally delete the PS4 stuff or the PS4 game off of your hard drive. Of course, you want to keep your data. Just delete the game off your hard drive. Guess what? That process, it doesn't seem like it's that bad, right? It doesn't seem like it's that bad until you factor in the fact that depending on your network connection, which maybe won't be that bad, but I'm sure the PlayStation 5 caps out at a specific amount of data that it can download, right? You have to wait for it to download it off the disk, download all the updates on top of that, and then do that process again for the PS5 version, which is arguably maybe bigger, right? in size than last gen. And then once that's all done, you can delete the PS4 game off your system and keep it pushing. Well, if you have quite a few games that have a PS5 version, you're going to be installing a lot of old games, period, throughout that day. My first day bringing this PlayStation home around 10 a.m. in the morning, because yes, I went up to GameStop about 6:30, hung out up there. I was number 10 in line to get my PlayStation. Surprisingly, they had PlayStations up to about 7 p.m. at my local GameStop in South Carolina. My brother's GameStop near him in Minnesota had 7 left around 7 p.m. their time. It was an $830 bundle. Well, after taxes, it was like $830 to $840. $840 bundle. You got Ghost of Tsushima, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Spider-Man Miles Morales, an additional controller, and PlayStation PlayStation. The GameStop $50 in-store credit, and a charge-based station from Power A, in which I just recently traded it in and got the PlayStation's official one that looks like the PlayStation 5. You got all that for $830, so you actually saved about $65 to $70 ultimately, with the in-store credit and like one of the games, in terms of pricing. And technically you get 4 games, because you get Spider-Man PS5 remastered alongside Miles Morales, because you get the Ultimate Edition. So all that is dope that I got and waited in a short line for. I didn't get to play the game basically till like 1 o'clock in the morning the next day. It took like legitimately 10 to 12 hours to copy games over and do all this unnecessary processing, in which I wish I researched some games beforehand, because not all games needed to do that. For instance, Jedi Fallen Order and Ghost of Tsushima, you don't need the PS4 version. It already knows to pull your game save data file for that game off the system and use that. For some reason, other games just couldn't do that. I'm like, what is going on here? And I forgot, because I kind of sort of remember hearing vaguely. I kind of ignored some PS5 information because I knew I wasn't gonna get one after I missed my opportunity last year. But I traded in my Miles Morales towards the PS5 the day before for PS4. So now I have to buy the PS4 version again just to get my game save data file uploaded to the cloud, so that way I can download it to the PS5, so that way I could just play Miles Morales with everything, so that way I could just coast through the game, because I don't really want to have to try to hunt for the trophies again. I already did that. Now, the benefit of having your game save data files from last gen for now current gen is, if you did the work to get whatever trophies and or platinums that you did, you get rewarded by, you know, getting those trophies a pop for the PS5 version. That I like. I went from like 12 platinums to like 16. I got like 4 platinums. Will be 5 once I get Miles Morales, but I got 5 new platinums because I platinumed those games on last gen. So shout out to Sony for those achievement awards. And then I got the platinum recently for the PS5 version of Guardians of the Galaxy. I wish it was backwards compatible, because then I would just pop in or download Guardians for for PS4 and pop my trophies then too. I should have thought to beat it on PS4 first and then pop it for PS5 and then play the PS5 version on like performance mode or something. I wish I thought about that with Guardians of the Galaxy, because I could have got me a few extra trophies. But it is what it is. But nonetheless, I really hope that this year, January through December 2022 and beyond, going forward, games will not struggle with pulling your save data file. Hopefully, maybe Horizon has some benefit, bonus, reward for your game save data file for the first Horizon Zero Dawn, that you can use some of that for Horizon Forbidden West. That would be amazing. God of War even, that would be amazing. But most likely they're gonna be brand new, legit, and it has nothing to do with your previous save files, like a Mass Effect, right? So in terms of that, I hated it. It was an excruciating process, but now I know, look up games prior to, if I have the PS4 version. But I'm finished with all that, so now every game going forward is pretty much gonna be PS5 only. I'm not buying no PS4 games anymore. Straight PS5 from here on out, so I also don't have to even worry about this game save data file issue thing. So thank you and no thank you, Sony and PlayStation. Last but not least, we're gonna talk about this baby here, the controller. Ooh, you gotta love when the camera decides to focus on it, you know what I'm saying? The haptics. Yo, check out Gamer 2323. His name's Jeremy, I believe. Funny dude. Oh, excuse me. How do I feel about the controller? Well, one of the things I noticed is I don't think the touchpad is a touchpad anymore. I think it's just a press pad, a pressure pad. But now they've basically, you know, gotten much better with the controller and improved the haptics, the vibrations, the feedback that you get within this. I noticed with Ratchet and Clank, for instance, the triggers are very affected by what you're doing in the game and certain, you know, weapons that you use. So depending on if you're using some little flower gun or using like the autumn, I forgot what it's called, or even the executor, right? If you have pressed it, it'll just fire once or maybe fire twice. If you fully engage the trigger, it'll do more damage and you'll feel the tension as you pull down on it. For some reason, it reminds me of Nerf guns, but I like that. And what I did to actually improve that aspect, I think, in my opinion, was I went and toned down the haptics and vibration and the speaker audio noise, the speaker volume of the controller, so that way I could even maximize my battery life on it. So I definitely get the feedback still in terms of, like, again, using Ratchet and Clank as an example. It vibrates when you're near a rift to sling to. It vibrates when certain things are around that you could pay attention to. I'm sure Spider-Man probably has similar capabilities with the controller, but for Ratchet, that's what I noticed, and you do feel it. It's a little bit more subtle, because I think I put mine on medium. I don't think I dropped it down to weak. I have to check my setting to see if I did, but I dropped it from strong, which is the standard, to weak. The reason why I did that too though is because with Guardians of the Galaxy in particular, it was harder for me to charge Peter Quill's blasters. So on PS4 it's easy. All you gotta do is double tap and it'll charge up and do a single blast. But once you got the PS5, it was difficult to actually figure out how to charge it, because you know, if you had to half press and then press fully, or you try to press fully, but because the tension was so strong, it wouldn't register as a click or 2 clicks. It would register basically as like a click or click and a half. So I was struggling trying to find that sweet spot on Guardians for the charge shot. So what I ended up doing was toning it down to like medium, or I think I definitely toned everything down to medium at first. And then when I watched some other videos and I saw people toning it down to weak, I was like, I don't know if I need to go that far. But when I toned it down to medium, I noticed it was much easier to figure out that sweet spot for his charge shot, and it was more effective. R2 doesn't really have as much adaptive trigger like functionality quite yet, at least not that I've noticed, because most of the time L2's for aim anyway. In terms of vibrations, you do get subtle differences in terms of vibration depending on what you're doing, so that's also neat. The buttons feel more firm too. I like they feel like they're there, like they're not mushy. And I won't even say mushy, but I think you guys kind of know what I mean with the PS4. Like the buttons felt a little kind of mushy, and maybe it's just because the material is different. This is like a hard plastic polycarbonate, whereas it felt like it was definitely like a basic plastic with the previous controller buttons. So that's neat. I have thumbstick little gloves or whatever you want to call it on my I got a monitor I'm looking at, but I got that on top of here so I don't ruin that. And so if I ever decided I wanted to trade it in or something like that, I could, or use my warranty to get a new controller. If I feel like something happened, at least they get a controller in good condition back. So that's interesting. The volume's relatively decent on here too in terms of the audio that you get displayed back. It was on PS4 as well when you got audio coming from the controller. That was neat, but it sounds more clear and more there with the DualSense controller. The mute button, of course, right here, neat, interesting. The PlayStation button, I'm still so on. It was much easier to find the PlayStation button on the PS4 DualShock 4 controller, and maybe because I got my little thumbsticks on here, it makes it a little bit harder to outright feel for the PlayStation button. But even though it looks good aesthetically, it doesn't feel that great when trying to press it, because you have a mute button now. Sometimes you don't know if you went down too far. So I feel like the mute button could have been like maybe underneath the controller, like right near the charging dock port, or the mute button could have been elsewhere on the controller. The PlayStation button could have been maybe a little bit bigger, or just still round with the PlayStation logo on it. So little nuances there. I'm getting used to it, but I definitely missed the circular orb that we had, if you will, for the DualShock 4. But that's a minor gripe. The PlayStation 5 DualSense controller is stunning. It's amazing. It feels better in the hand than the PS4 did. And I like the PS4 or the DualShock controllers, but the DualSense feels so much better. It kind of reminds me of like if anything, it reminds me of a more evolved version of Xbox's controller. It's not as thick as it, but it kind of feels like it's a better version of that controller even. I like both of the buttons at the top in terms of the capture button or the create button and the options button. It should just be called settings button, but but I do like all that. Everything feels really good. It's easy to customize the controller too, in terms of all you gotta do is take something thin enough to pop this out. You can pop this whole lining out and put a new one in. I'm gonna get me a carbon fiber one to put on here. That's interesting. I like that. I'm gonna get the midnight black controller too one day, and they drop new color controllers, and of course the wife wants a pink one, so I'm gonna get her the pink one, but probably collect those anyway. I think this is the generation I can finally collect controllers. The white one's cool, but I also feel like that sucker's gonna get dirty real quick, or the white's gonna end up staining, or just over time get wore out. Not a fan of that. That's why also with the plates on the PS5, I plan on getting the D brand plates, because I do like the fan exhaust system to allow additional air intake for the PlayStation. So that's something I'm gonna do also for the PlayStation, and I'm gonna get those in black. And you can actually get LEDs for those as well. There's also a company that makes LEDs for the fans that you can install easily, because PlayStation did make it easier to customize the PlayStation 5 to a small degree. I will be getting a Samsung, I think 980 Pro, or I think it's a 980 Pro M.2 NVMe. I think 2 terabyte. I'm still debating on 1 or 2 terabytes because it is expensive, and it's, you know, you gotta get the heat sink with it. But I definitely am weighing the options between the 1 and 2 terabytes. If my wife starts playing more games on the PlayStation, I may get the 2 terabyte. I was leaning back more towards 1 because I feel like I may not keep as many games on here, but we'll see going down the road and how large the games get going forward. You know, some games I would like to leave on here, leave on the system and not have to you know, uninstall it and then reinstall it later. Some games I would like to just leave on the system, but a lot of times story-based games I'll just delete off because I played it once or twice or 3 times and I know I'm not going to visit again for a while. Those are easy to remove from the drive, but like ongoing games is a little bit harder. And let's say I got 4 or 5 ongoing games and my wife has games that she's slowly playing on her profile, that's the data or the storage that starts adding up. You know, Avengers, Madden, 2K. Maybe I'll get into another type of game, I don't know yet. But and then those games can start getting larger in size, and before you know it, you used up a whole terabyte, and now you got to delete certain games off. So that's why like 2 terabytes is safe to buy, because you won't have to worry about storage again for a long time. And that one has read and write speeds of up to like 7,000 megabytes per second or whatever. Or megabits per second, but I think it's megabytes per second. So, but I think it dumbs down to PlayStation's like 5,000 to 5,500 ish megabytes per second rewrite speeds. So that's some of the accessories that I'm looking at getting for the PlayStation 5, the controllers and all that. And of course I'm gonna try to drop videos when I get that kind of stuff so you guys can see it. It's very easy to install, to take out the plate, install the drive, and install the new plate. All that's very easy, which is great. Anybody can do it. I do like Microsoft's option though with the memory card. It's like nostalgic, where you just plug it in the back and you got new memory just like that. A terabyte see, I'm going back and forth again there in terms of that accessory. But you know, it is what it is. Now in terms of battery life on this baby, fantastic. Even before toning it down, the controller still lasted. It seemed like what, 4 to 7 hours. I know it's like a semi-large time gap there, but at least 4 hours of non-stop gaming has been pretty regular regardless. And then when I toned it down to medium, I definitely noticed more in like the 6 to 7 hour category when I toned it down to medium. So I imagine if you had it on weak, it could be even higher. But that also depends on the game you're playing and how intensive it is on the haptic triggers and the haptic feedback. So that's something that you'll have to keep in mind. But battery life on here is great. USB-C makes it so much more easier to charge things with. Just so much better. Real quick, coming back to you guys, the battery life on the controller really actually lasts somewhere around 10 hours once you bump the settings down to medium and you drop the audio volume down to, you know, just over 50%, somewhere around 60%. 60. I'm able to get like 10 hours of battery life on the DualSense controller. Yeah, I've had like 2 or 3, I think 2 3-hour sessions in one day, and then I had at least a 2 to 3 hour session a day before without charging the controller. So I went on 2 bars instead of 3 on one day, and I still didn't run out of battery life yet. Much closer to 4 on the second run today. So superb battery life on the DualSense controller. It feels so good. It feels great. The controller is great, and I like the color I got, that cosmic red. I like the cosmic vibe PlayStation's got going on with it too. PlayStation 5 overall has been amazing in my first week, and since it's been a year, I've avoided a lot of the software setbacks or things still not being activated yet due to needing software updates, like the whole storage situation. It almost took a year before we could finally install storage on the PS5. I didn't have one yet. So now I'm getting it, and I'm right into the game, being able to do things that people hadn't been able to do yet when they first got their PlayStation, along with the typical, day one issues, if you will, across like the first few months or first 6 months of the PlayStation. There were some bugs, there were some issues. Some people's was bricking, which I think was a much smaller pool and has largely not been an issue for PlayStation since the beginning of their gaming existence. So that's also great, but not having to endure all that. Now, going forward, do I want to wait a year to get the new system? No. I'm gonna make sure I have all my priorities in order to get the next gen console day one, or as close to day one as possible. Hopefully we don't have a chip shortage again. No crazy situations will be taking place. So that's something we'll also have to keep in mind and pay attention to. But I definitely hope you guys can get your hands on a PlayStation this year, because it should be a lot easier. You be on the lookout for Walmart, Target, Amazon, Best Buy, GameStop. Be on the lookout. I follow a guy named Matt Swider on Twitter, so maybe I'll put his Twitter right here. But most definitely check him out and just stay on alert for restock updates, because that's how I got mine. I followed him, and that's how I got it. Being a GameStop Pro member is also how I got it. You can only get the PlayStation if you are a GameStop Pro member. Now, people coming in to the store, you can still be a Pro member, or you can buy your Pro membership and then buy the PlayStation right then and there. But it seemed like either A, people didn't want a Pro membership from GameStop, or B, they didn't realize that the bundle was going to cost $830 and that they couldn't trade in for it that day. My GameStop had people come trade in everything the day before, so that way they could just sell the system. But I think when they realized that not as many people came to get the PlayStation, or couldn't, I think later on that day, probably like after an hour or 3, I mean, I'm sure that the 30 people or so that were there, they probably got their PlayStations by 10:30, I would say 11 at the latest. So most likely after 11 o'clock, after 12 o'clock p.m., they probably allowed people to then trade in whatever they wanted to for the system. So just be on the lookout. I called my brother and it was like, hey, PlayStation came out today, check and see if your store has them. They're like, yeah, they do. And then I called the store and they're like, yeah, we have seven left. And it was like 7 p.m. So they went up there, he traded in his PS4 and got a PlayStation 5. So both of us got one on the same day, which is also dope. He loves Ratchet. He over there just going wild over Ratchet. So I've been rambling enough. Hope you guys appreciate and enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comment section below, what are you looking forward to with next gen? What are you looking forward to on this channel? What are you looking forward to yourself in terms of PS5? Do you have one? Are you getting one? Do you have Xbox? You want Xbox Series yet? Let me know down in the comment section below. But again, as always, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys ignite the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so that way you never miss my videos or my live streams. So that way we can sit back, chillax, see what's cracking. Your man Versatile signing out. Until the next video. The SSD. You wait for it.